Hi there, and welcome to this introduction for Philosophy of Psychology. The Philosophy of Psychology course is a course at the intersection of two disciplines, the discipline of philosophy and the discipline of psychology, both of which we have majors at BMCC. My name is Roger Foster, and I'm a philosophy professor at BMCC, and I'll be teaching this course throughout the semester. This is a fully asynchronous course. So a fully asynchronous course means that there are no face-to-face meetings. We don't meet up face-to-face. All of the work will be hosted on Brightspace, and you'll find the links to everything that you need. You'll find the syllabus, and you'll find the course map and everything else hosted on Brightspace. So there's no necessity of any face-to-face meetings during the class. You can do the work at the time that's suitable to you, as I'll explain, as long as you keep up with the weekly deadlines, and that's super important. So even though we don't have any face-to-face meetings, I'll be having office hours on Zoom, and I'll have face-to-face meetings on campus as well. So feel free at any time to attend those meetings on Zoom, or to drop by if you're on campus, to drop by for office hours. It's really nice to get to know people and to see you. If you're in an asynchronous course, it's good to sort of get to know a bit about you. So don't hesitate to drop into the office hours just to chat, or if you have any questions about the course that you want to discuss. The time to do that is in office hours. And you can also reach me by email or by phone. Those details are on the syllabus, as I'll explain. All right, so this course is going to introduce us to the core problems in the history and the philosophy of psychology. So we'll look at things like the theories of mind, and we'll spend some time in the first part of the course going through some of the history of theories of mind, different historical periods. We'll look at moral motivation and moral judgment. How do they work? How do we sort of think about the role of emotion and the role of reason, and so on. We'll look at the idea of free will and responsibility, and we'll look at psychology in its social context. And I think that's going to be very important throughout the course, that we get a sense of psychology through its historical and social context. And we'll focus on that, especially when we do the sort of the history parts of the course. So a really interesting question that we'll try to answer and we'll take a look at is, why did philosophy and psychology become separate disciplines from the 19th century onwards? So for most of history, they were the same discipline. Psychology was a part of philosophy. And the disciplines diverged and split up, and psychology became a separate discipline in the last quarter of the 19th century. So we're going to try and explain and think about what this split meant and why it happened. And we're going to think about the kind of discipline that psychology became as it split from philosophy. And we're going to use the sort of theoretical insights of philosophy and the kind of empirical, the more kind of experimental impulse of psychology to illuminate each other. Looking at things like theory of mind, moral judgment and motivation, etc. So we'll draw upon the social sciences to ask a lot of critical questions about psychology as a discipline. All right, so this course is a 15-week asynchronous course, and the course is organized into weekly segments. So it starts in week 0, and the last week is week 14 when we do the final exam. So the work, and this is very important, must be completed on a weekly basis. So although it's an asynchronous course, means that we don't actually meet face-to-face at a set time during the week, but there's work that must be completed on a weekly basis, and I'll talk about what those assignments are a little later in this orientation. So to be successful in this class, to do well, you must be active every week. So it's important to log in at the beginning of the week, to do the reading, to look at the lecture, and to make sure you log in later in the week to do the assignments. So to emphasize, this is a class. It's not a self-study module. It's not a correspondence course. So the idea of it being a class is that we're working together. So we're working together every week to make sense of the material and build on our learning. And to do that, obviously, we've got to be online, interacting and participating with each other for that to happen. So that's why it's important that we keep the weekly deadlines and that the week must be completed on a weekly basis. So asynchronous means that you can complete the work on your own schedule, provided you make all the weekly deadlines. Late work will be accepted, but it will be accepted for half credit because it's just not as valuable as work that sort of contributes to the interaction and the sort of learning that takes place, the organic learning that takes place during the class when we interact with each other and learn from each other. So it's very important for those reasons that we keep the weekly deadlines. So you can view the lectures and weekly assignments at a time that works for you, but make sure that you observe the deadlines, and they're all in the course map. And I'll tell you about the course map a little later in this orientation. So the weekly assignments represent the class learning component. So if we were in a classroom, we would have a discussion and we would have a kind of interactive discussion of what we're talking about, of the material. So that's what we're doing in the weekly assignments. So I'm very happy to say we have a supplemental instructor for this class, and our supplemental instructor is Daria Raver. And Daria knows this class very well, and she'll be hosting our weekly study sessions for this class. So you can reach out to Daria to talk about anything related to the course. You'll see her info here, and you'll see announcements from Daria about the weekly meetings, the weekly study sessions, and those study sessions will be worth course points. So it's important. It's a really good idea to attend those study sessions where you can, and you'll get points in the course for doing so. And Daria will help you think about the weekly material and go over techniques for really sort of helping you to grasp the sort of significance of the material and how to think about it in relation to the assignments. So our reading for the course, a lot of the material will be hosted on Brightspace in PDF format, but we'll also be making extensive use of this textbook, which is Philosophy of Psychology, an Introduction by Miyazono and Borsalotti. It's available at the BMCC bookstore. It's available at a host of other online bookstores. So please get a hold of this book, or you can take it from the BMCC library and photocopy it. All other readings for the course, apart from this one, will be made available on Brightspace. All right, so there are usually 2 course readings per week. And I'd recommend reading once to get a general idea of the reading, of what it's about and how it works, and a second time to pick up the specific claims in the reading. So you want to get a sort of general view of what it's about, what sort of terms, what sort of concepts, what ideas are being discussed. And then you want to pick up the specific claims. So what is the author really, what arguments is the author making, and what specific claims does the author want to make about this material, about what they're talking about. So take notes or mark the reading, and we'll be doing some markup assignments during the course, as well, as you'll see, where we sort of interact together to understand the text. But the more when you do the reading, the more you interact with the text, and the more you can mark it, and the more you can sort of the more you're an active reader and you're thinking while you're reading, the more you'll get from the text. Okay, so here's the evaluation and requirements as outlined in the syllabus. So as you'll see, the evaluation is made up of the 12 quizzes, which are 10 points each. There are 10 markup assignments, which are 100 points. There are 10 VoiceThread assignments, also 100 points, so each of those 10 points each. There are 4 writing assignments in the course, and they are 280 points in total. There's a final exam, which is 100 points, and the student study sessions are 100 points max, and those are the sessions that will be run by our supplemental instructor, Daria. So those are 10 points per session, and you can get points for a maximum of 10 of those sessions. So there are 800 points in total. And as you can see, the grading scheme, this is how it's going to work in terms of the grade that you'll receive from the assignments. So the syllabus has my info, it has a course description, it has a description of all the assignments in it. And I'll go over the assignments a little later in this orientation as well. And it also has a course outline with all the readings and dates. So if you're ever in doubt of what we're doing in a particular week, feel free to consult the syllabus. All right, so the course map is another important document, and like the syllabus, you'll see it uploaded on Brightspace in the content area. The dates for all of the assignments, along with all of the weekly tasks and the relevant due dates, are listed in the course map. So if you ever want to know the breakdown for a particular week, what we're doing, what we're reading, what we're studying, what assignments are due and when they're due, all of that information on a weekly basis is presented in the course map. So please consult it regularly. Please, if you're sort of in doubt about where we are and what's going on, take a look at the course map. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me if there's anything that doesn't sort of correspond, or if you're unsure about anything that you see. Okay, so let's dig into the assignments in a little bit more detail. As I mentioned, we're going to be doing the weekly quizzes, and we're going to be doing the text hypothesis or markup assignments. Hypothesis is the name of the software that we use to do the markup assignments. We'll be doing VoiceThread assignments, writing assignments, and the final exam. So let's take a look at each of these in turn. All right, so the quizzes will consist of 10 questions, and they're worth 10 points each. And there are 12 quizzes in total, sorry, so a total of 120 points for the quizzes. They're usually multiple choice, maybe a couple of true, false, and a fill in the blank. So they are based on the reading and the lecture for each particular week. So the quizzes are due at the end of the week on Sunday. So I think it's a good idea, obviously do the reading, take a look at the lecture for that particular week, and then have a go at the other assignments, the markup assignments and the VoiceThread. And then when you have a really sort of a really good knowledge of the weekly material, and you feel that you've learned some things, then you can go for the quiz. So like I said, it's due at the end of the week, and it consists of 10 questions. Okay, so the markup assignments are worth 10 points each, and there are 10 of those assignments throughout the semester. So to do well in the markup assignments, you have to do 3 distinct tasks. The first thing you have to do is you have to do one substantial post, 100 words or more, responding to a part of the text. The second thing you have to do is you have to ask a question about the text. And the third thing you have to do is you have to do one response to a classmate's post. So you'll see when you enter the markup assignments, it's basically it's usually part of the text that we're reading for that particular week. So what you'll do is you'll highlight a part of the text, and then you can make a comment on it. You can write a post, or you can ask a question. When you see a classmate has posted, then you'll be able to respond to their post, to their question, or whatever. So feel free to post as much as you want. For maximum points, you have to do at least these 3 things: the substantial post, the question, and the response to a classmate. But obviously, if you want to post more, if you want to sort of interact with my comments, and sort of interact more generally, I think that's great. But you have to at least do these three things for maximum points. So it's very easy to use. You'll just highlight a part of the text, and then you can make a comment. So make sure that you make 3 separate entries, 3 separate posts. One will be your substantial post, one will be the question, and the other one you'll write a reply or a response to a classmate. Okay, so the VoiceThread assignments, again, there are 10 assignments and they're 10 points each. And to do well in the VoiceThread assignment, you have to complete 2 distinct tasks. So you'll upload 1 substantial voice response. So it could be 2 minutes, 3 minutes is perfectly sufficient here. And in your response, you'll respond to the prompt that I've given you in the video. So there'll be a video you'll watch. It's usually a couple of minutes, and at the end I'll post there'll be a prompt for you to respond. So your voice response will be a response to the prompt in the VoiceThread video. And the other thing you have to do for maximum points is to do 1 response to a classmate. So your response to a classmate can be, you can do another voice upload, or you can do text for that if you prefer. So 1 voice response where you'll upload a voice response in response to my prompt in the video, and then you'll also do a response which could be voice or text to a classmate. And as long as you do those 2 things, you'll get maximum points in the VoiceThread assignments. The VoiceThread is usually due on Friday. The markups are usually due on Thursday. So these 2 things must be completed before the weekend. So I definitely advise using the early part of the week, so Monday to Wednesday, to do the reading, to watch the course lecture or course lectures if there's more than 1. And then you can focus on the assignments in the latter part of the week. So there's usually a deadline on Thursday, which is the markup. There's a deadline on Friday, which is the VoiceThread. And the quiz, as I mentioned, is usually due on Sunday. All right, so for the VoiceThread, this is really a guide more than anything. Just if you can, originality, comprehension, and try and be clear when you sort of post your thoughts. So I'm not looking for, in neither of these assignments am I looking for you to sort of, demonstrate perfect knowledge of the assignment. Both of these assignments are kind of exploratory. So in the VoiceThread and the markup, I'm looking for your sort of responses to the text. I'm looking for, how are you coming at the question? What do you find in it? What does your experience and what you've learned up to now tell you about this question and what it means? So it's not really about sort of, I'm not asking you to sort of understand perfectly the concepts. What we're doing here is sort of discussing and getting different points of view and different perspectives. And that's true in the markup and it's true in the VoiceThread. So I'm looking for you to sort of come at it from your perspective and give your point of view. And again, as long as you do that, you'll get maximum points. Okay, so there are 4 timed, usually 2-hour writing assignments in the course, and each writing assignment will be worth 70 points. So points will be awarded for original ideas and evidence of engagement with the ideas and concepts we discuss in the readings and lectures. So bland and generic responses to the writing prompt will receive a lower grade. So I'm looking for you to show the ideas that you've thought about, to show how you've engaged with the ideas and concepts we're discussing in the course. How do you bring your own original experiences and your thinking to the table? How are you engaging with these ideas and concepts? What have you learned from the readings and lectures? So those are the things I'm looking for you to show in the writing assignment. So by bland and generic responses, I mean responses that that anybody could anybody could write that don't really show any originality, that don't really show any engagement or any personal engagement with the material, any sort of creative or original thinking about the material. Those are what I regard as blank or bland and generic responses. So try to engage, try to have your own ideas, try to come at it from your own point of view, and those things will be rewarded in the writing assignments. The final exam, obviously, we'll do at the end of the semester. It will be a 2-hour timed exam. So it's not going to be a memory or a knowledge test, but it will give you a chance to show what you've learned in the class. It'll be a response to an open-ended prompt. And I'll provide a final review sheet and a final review video prior to finals week, so you'll be well prepared for the final. Okay, so I'll have office hours on Tuesday in the main campus in the social science department. Same on Thursday afternoon. And I'll have Zoom office hours on Wednesday at 4 to 5. So feel free to drop by on Zoom, again, just to say hello if you have a question, if you have any concerns, or if there's anything you want to talk about. You'll see my email and my phone number here, which are also on the syllabus and also on Brightspace. So if ever you need to reach out, those are the best ways to reach me at any time. And like I said, feel free to drop by anytime for office hours just to chat. Or if you're interested in philosophy, I'd be especially interested in hearing from you and what your interests are and what your plans are. And we can talk about that because I'm the coordinator for the philosophy major here at BMCC. And finally, good luck. And if you run into any issues, if something happens during the semester, sometimes it just does, then feel free to reach out by email or office hours. If you need anything, if there's anything going on and you need extra help, just please reach out and we'll find some kind of solution. So good luck, and I hope you have a productive and fruitful semester.